And fans here with you on BBC Sussex and BBC Surrey, where all this week we are focusing on local charity From Me to You. They are a charity which organise volunteers to write letters that are then sent to people who are undergoing cancer treatment. It's already inspired me. I'm so ready now to take pen and paper and write to someone. I've no one to write to, really, but I feel I want to do it. What's so lovely is that it's such a simple idea and yet can have such a massive impact on the person receiving the letter. The letters are handed out by care centres like the Sussex Cancer Centre in Brighton, and writers are encouraged to fill their letters with information about their own lives, from the kind of mundane day-to-day stuff to the spectacular. All this week we're going to be meeting some of the amazing writers who write regularly for the charity. In a moment we're going to be speaking to Jane Dalloway. But first, let's hear what these letters are like. Now, of course, people write letters from all over the world to recipients here in the UK. Saskia is one of their regular writers. She used to live in this country, but she now lives in the Brazilian mountains.
15th of March. Hello, dear friend. Today I am taking you to a place dear to my heart. Take my hand and come with me to the top of the mountains. Can you smell the air? Sweet rain from this morning. We need the rain. Bring on the crops. Take a deep breath. These mountains stretch from Rio de Janeiro on one side to Sao Paulo on the other. We're standing in my farm, my organic farm. 3 greenhouses of tomatoes, pumpkins and squashes outside. We've just planted courgettes, beets and leeks. Mondays is the day we harvest the baby leaf salad, wash, dry and pack it. Tomorrow we will deliver it down the valley, beyond where we can see from here.
Can you hear that sound? Toucans. One sings, a second responds, and then a third. They've been away for a couple of years, but now they're back. Look, they're flying away. Further up the mountain. Streaks of orange above the trees. And they'll be back. Now I must let you go home. Please take some of the mountain with you. And the next time I hear the toucans sing, I will think of you. All my best wishes, Saskia.
Isn't that lovely? And an example, really, of just how a letter, something as simple as a letter, can transport you to a different place and time. Jane Dalloway joins me in the studio. Jane is another one of the letter writers who volunteers for the charity From Me to You. Jane, before we go any further, I have to share something with the listener, because you were saying the last time you were on BBC Local Radio, you were only a tiny baby.
That's right. I was 6 months old. For random reasons, I was christened live on Radio Humberside.
See, you've completely trumped my live cocktail making, my live cracker eating. You were christened live on local radio.
Yep. Every Sunday they used to do a service from one of the local churches and broadcast it on the radio. It so happened that the day that they approached my family church, I was due to be christened. My dad and, both of my parents were quite involved with the church. And so when when Radio Humberside approached the vicar and said, "Oh, we'd like to use you this Sunday," he said, "Well, we've got a christening on, does that matter?" And they went, "No, that's great, bring it on." So, yeah, I was live, christened live on the radio, so I have a cassette of it.
I love that.
And I have the press, the local, or the BBC aerial newsletter thing that had all the press photos and things in it.
How brilliant.
Absolutely.
See, now I want to have a live christening on this show. Right, we're going to have something to work on. Add it to the to-do list. Jane, when you write your letters, what do you write about? Have you ever featured that story?
No, but I think I'm going to. I think that's what happens next. I think is going to go and sit in the library and write a letter that brings both of these two experiences together.
Yeah. What do you normally talk about in your letters?
I have a small dog, so there's often talk about walking along the beach and what I've seen and the characters I've seen, or the flowers, or all of that kind of stuff. Probably the most memorable one, it was a letter that I wrote after I'd been to a tribute act And so I just wrote chapter and verse on because it was hilarious.
Who was it a tribute to?
I don't know whether I want to go into that.
Oh, right, Jane. You haven't heard this programme before, have you? I'm not going to let you away with that. Who could it be? Somebody you don't want to admit to liking.
I was there to escort a friend of mine who's partially sighted, so I got
making excuses.
So I was, yep, exactly.
You were forced to go.
I was doing a service. I was being a kind and caring human being and taking my friend who was partially sighted.
Who was it?
It's Tina Turner.
Tina Turner tribute. So you wrote all about that in your letter.
Yeah, because it was something that was really recent. I was at one of the Alison and Brian's workshops at the library, and it was the day after I'd been. So I wrote one letter which was just about walking with the dog, and then I wrote one which was all about the Tina Turner tribute act, and just tried to put all of the comedy I could into that letter, and it went on for about 4 pages.
It was quite a humorous tribute then, was it?
Not deliberately.
Oh, okay. Okay, but you saw the funny side.
Absolutely.
I love that. You mentioned Brian and Alison, the lovely Brian and Alison, who formed this charity From Me to You. It was their idea, and I know I keep saying it, but it's such a simple idea, and yet it's so powerful and can make such a difference to the people who receive the letters.
I hope so. It is simple. It's easy. I wanted to do something to help people because it's a nice thing to do. But time constraints are really, everybody's busy.
Busy, yeah.
And actually, it's almost a bit embarrassing how easy it is to write a letter and to fit some time in here and there and just spend half an hour and write off a note.
Yeah.
And I love stationery. I'm a stationery geek.
Oh,
so,
you're one of those. What a brilliant excuse to buy more stationery.
Exactly. So I go off. I can justify buying some really nice stationery because it's not for me.
You say it's an easy thing to do. I think you do yourself a disservice. I think actually the art of letter writing is a dying art because people don't necessarily take the time. It is so much easier nowadays to quickly ping off an email or send someone a text. And actually, I think that's why receiving a letter is such a gift, because you know that somebody has sat there, thought about you, got the paper, got a pen, handwritten something, put it in the envelope, put the stamp on, gone to the post box. I think that's what makes it so special.
Yeah, I was being a little bit dismissive, I suppose. And you're absolutely right. I come from a technology background, so I'm surrounded by digital things all of the time and text messages and all of that sort of stuff. Yet there is something really powerful about getting something in the post and holding it and opening it and, sitting there with a cup of tea and reading it. And that's kind of what I want to try and get into a letter, is that so that it gets to somebody when they're not at their best and they're, they may not be quite sure of what's coming on, what the rest of their day is going to be like. If they've got something that's just a little tiny prism of light that just relaxes them a little bit,
gives
then
them
why
a little
not?
boost. I think it's a lovely idea. If you'd like to volunteer like Jane, if you're also a stationery geek and would like the excuse to buy more pens and paper, then this is your chance. You can find out more by taking a look at their website, www.frommetouletters.co.uk. Right, Jane.